Baba Jamal is making a return to Parliament following his victory in the just-ended Ayawaso East by-election. The Electoral Commission declared him winner of Tuesday's by-election. Well, the election was held to fill the vacancy left by the death of the late Member of Parliament for Ayawaso East, Nasser Ture Mahama, in January, and it saw voters across numerous polling stations head to the polls on Tuesday, March 3. Here's more.
At the end of the voting exercise for the parliamentary by-elections for Ayawaso East Ayawaso East constituency, 5 candidates contested. The first one is Baba Jamal Ahmed, and he polled 10,884 votes. The next candidate also polled 43 votes. The second candidate, please let me retake. There are 5 candidates who contested in the polls. Is Baba Jamal Ahmed, and he polled 10,884 votes. The second candidate on the ballot is Ibrahim Idrisu, and he also polled 43 votes. The third candidate on the ballot is Yusuf Ali Baba, who also polled 4,009 votes. The fourth candidate is Muhammad Umar Sanda, who also polled 1,885 votes. The fifth candidate, also an independent candidate, is Kano David, and he polled 104 votes. In all, we had 16,928 valid votes. 120 votes were rejected. And in that case, total votes cast amounts to 17,048. Looking at the just announced results, I, Samuel Mofori, the returning officer of Ayawaso East constituency, hereby announce to you your new MP-elect, Honorable Baba Jamal Ahmed. On this note, I hereby introduce to you your MP-elect in the name of Honorable Baba Jamal Ahmed. Congratulations, Honorable.
A word with you.
Yes.
Let's do it nicely.
Right, Honorable, talk to us your reaction to this victory that has come through.
In the first place, I want to thank the Almighty Allah for giving us this victory. I want to state that this victory is not for me, Baba Jamal, alone. It's for the good people of East Ayawaso. I want to thank all of them for having confidence in me and electing me as their parliamentary candidate or parliamentary candidate-elect. Let me state that I dedicate this victory to my 93-year-old mother, Mimi, for promising to support me and ensuring that one day I'll go back to Parliament. Today, her vision and wish has come true, and I thank Allah for her life, and I dedicate this victory to my mother, Mimi, And also want to thank my wife here and my family, my children, for the spirit of endurance that they've gone through since I made this project my vision to go back to Parliament. I know they've gone through a lot, and I thank them for standing beside me and supporting me all this while. I want to also give special thanks to the national executives of NDC, the chairman and the general secretary. I want to also thank the regional executives of Greater Accra. I want to also thank the constituency executives of East Ayawaso, and more so my people from Akwetia who came in their numbers to support me for this project. I want to thank all of them. Let me also give a special thanks to the President once again for finding me worthy to go and work in Nigeria. Those few months that I stayed in Nigeria has added to my experience, which I'm taking to Parliament to serve this country better. I thank the President so much, and also want to assure the people of East Ayawaso that the resetting of East Ayawaso starts now. We are going to Parliament. We are coming to reset the whole constituency and ensure that what East Ayawaso deserves comes to pass. Thank you very much, the press, for all these weeks that you have also been chasing. For all this year that the press, you have been chasing, working with us. I understand sometimes late night that you follow us. I want to thank the press for your support. And I want to believe that I'm going to form a partnership with the press as we reset East Ayawaso. We are going to work together. Please correct us when we are wrong, but please do that in a good and proper professional way.
Well, that's MP-elect for Ayawaso East constituency, Baba Jamal, who won with 63% of the vote. I've been joined by Nana Kwabna Abram-Pamensa. He's programs manager, team lead, local and urban governance, and also a security sector governance. Welcome, sir. Thanks for joining us. So before we even talk about what this victory means for the NDC and Baba Jamal himself, I want to ask you your general assessment of the polls.
Well, let me take the opportunity to greet our viewers who are watching us this mid-morning and say per the indicators and the criteria we use to observe elections as independent election observers across the globe, we can't fault the elections that was held yesterday. Even though we couldn't deploy our usual cordial observers to the ground, we followed the independent analysis, the media coverage, and the news that were coming from the field. Everything did indicate that before, during, and after the voting, things worked well. For example, when we are accessing our election as cordial secretariat, we look at the time that ballot materials arrived and when voting actually started. I was privileged to watch your interview with my good friend Koko Emidoho, who said that he had visited some polling centers, and in all, the voting started on time. All materials were available. The polling staff had set the polling center in such a way that secrecy was assured. There was presence of party agents for the political parties as well as security. In the course of the voting, even though they reported of minimal attendance, we also did not hear any intimidation, harassment, and voting was smooth. One of the things that we've witnessed over the last 3 elections, including the by-election, is the collation time, where we see mayhem, people destroying ballot papers, ballot boxes. Unfortunately, this very election never witnessed any such incidents. So all in all, we can say as far as the credibility, the smoothness, and the peacefulness of the electoral environment was concerned, we can't fault the elections that was held yesterday.
Okay, that's interesting. Mr. Rampa, let's talk about low voter turnout, because yesterday when the polls started, I think from around 10 to 12, we recorded really low numbers at the various polling stations. I recall one of the polling stations, 37 Military Daycare Center, as at 11, about just 16 to about 20 people had voted. And I want to ask your thought. How do you assess this? What does this mean, this low voter turnout for by-elections?
Okay, so one, I did a rough calculation. The electoral officer who announced the results did not go into the voter turnout percentages, but I did my own calculations here. If indeed what people they were saying, the total voter expected was around 40,000, and in all, including the rejected ballots, we have 17,048. Then it means the turnout was around 43%, which is 42.62%. It's discouraging, but I'm not surprised because by-elections generally usually attracts a low voter turnout, and there are multiple factors that account to that. One, Ghana have two elections during the general elections, combining parliamentary election to with presidential elections. So that combination has its own enthusiasm and preferences. So even if I don't want the parliamentary candidate there, I'll go and vote for the presidential candidate. So the dual election itself attracts people to the polling station. Secondly, the enthusiasm generated around general elections is not comparable to that we have in by-elections. If I take your station, for example, a year ahead of the elections, you have your countdown. You branded your vehicles, you branded your offices, and I've forgotten the name, election headquarters or something of that sort. You generate the interest even a year to the election. So it encourages, it gingers people up to try and be part of the process. This media hip-hop, this media campaign is not seen in by-elections, which are close and has short period to conduct per the constitutional demand. Thirdly, most of the, which of course you can argue against me here, most of the by-elections, people travel long ways to go to their polling centers to go and vote. I said the same thing in Asankregwa when we went for the Asankregwa by-election, that most of the people do not live in Asankregwa. They live in the major cities, Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, and others. It will be very difficult for them to transport themselves because of by-elections. So you expect in the rural constituencies a low turnout. However, people will argue against a major city constituency like Nima, Ayawaso East. Can we also do the same analysis for Ayawaso? So I'm wondering what factor in that aspect can come. But generally, by-elections have recorded low turnout over the years. Okay. One thing, probably I'm throwing it out for media, for civil society, for election watchers to also analyze to see whether the increasing monetization, the perceived vote buying also has impacts on results.
Okay, Mr. Rampa, we'll come to the vote buying shortly. I'd have you hold. Right, sure. We've been joined by Madi Jibril. He's acting director of elections and IT for the NDC. Mr. Jibril, I mean, Info Analytics projected 75% win. Baba Jamal was able to garner 63%. That's an unexpected victory, is it not?
Yes, it's a good victory. When I saw Global Info Analytics projection, for the first time, I doubted the figures, because the dynamics for the Ayawaso East election is different. Totally. So I thought that you could have looked at those ones and then project even better than what they have done. But for most important, then these are one election. Based on the available data that we used in the election. I know people are talking about the turnout, but we are forgetting also about the real data of Ayawaso. Yes, it's 40,000 plus, but about 13% voted Ayawaso don't reside in Ayawaso. Yes, 13%. Most of these are living in Medina, Atlanta, Kaswa, and Amsterdam.
Okay, and you think that's accounted for the low turnout?
Yes, that's accounted for the first low turnout. Two, the other thing that accounted for this low turnout. You see, after our primaries, many people thought that our primaries is the end of the process because our stronghold. So once you have won that one, automatically you are a member of parliament. So why do we worry ourselves to go out to go and vote again?
Okay.
Then the issue of our primaries, what happened during our primaries, also added to the issue of the lower turnout in the election.
You mean the votes?
The votes?
Is it the votes buying allegations?
Yeah, there are those allegations because on the practical on the field, somebody will tell you that if I want to go and vote, I also have to get some television or at least mobile phone to go and vote.
Yes, or eggs.
No, eggs, I think that they were really taking eggs before they bring their pass already. So, so those are the things that account to the low and out of the election. But we are okay with the numbers. If you look at the real data, it means that we have gone beyond even 57, 52% turnout.
Okay. So now that I understand from your perspective that most of the voters there do not reside in that area and they have to commute to come there, that accounted for the low voter turnout. But what do you think worked for the party, NDC? What worked for Baba Jamal and the NDC to secure this victory? I mean, apart from the fact that it's already a stronghold of the NDC.
You see, this election also, I have seen that the party have shown its strength. It's a party that won this election. Because there are many things that went against us in this election. And if you have not been strong, would have lost this election. Would have lost the election. It's only that our opponents are not strong. Our opponents are not strategic.
Don't you think it's because you had incumbency advantage? I mean, your party is in power, right?
In fact, this is the first election ever in by-election that party ran the election on their own, not on any government strength. Yes, if you observe, this election that you really see any even one ball, one street light fixed in the name of the government in the constituency. So the government, because it's a strategy the party also is adopting now.
But we saw
that run elections on
you.
your strength, not on the government strength.
We saw some of the party stalwarts in the constituency during the voting, at least.
Come again.
I'm saying that we saw some of your party bigwigs at some polling stations, so maybe that could have added to your incumbency advantage.
No, they are party executives. Watch those who came to the vote. These are party executives who still hold their party position. Yes. So it's the party machine that worked for this election. And we have cautioned ourselves towards the election. Once you always allow government to rely on government to win elections, in the future when you don't have a government support, you can't win election. And that's our opponent's problem now. They have not realized that if you watch 4 out of 4, we have won those elections this time around. Probably Mono, Akwetia, Tamale Central, and now Ayawaso East. So party won this election. Coupled with the challenges that started from the primaries, before primaries, then after primaries, and then even into the election.
Okay, so Baba Jamal is heading to Parliament now. Nothing stands in his way. How will the NDC consolidate victory in the constituency, in the area?
The party will be still strong in the constituency. But as a member of Parliament, you don't depend on Baba Jamal to prove the people of Ayawaso East that has come to serve. Because one of the challenges that confronted us in this election is when people they were able to campaign against him that he's not coming from Ayawaso East. So these are things that for Baba Jamal himself must work towards. Because if he works well and serves the people of Ayawaso well, then they will accept him. As for the party, we are still strong in Ayawaso.
Well, in his victory speech, he says the reset starts now. So what are the immediate plans to develop the area? Because after elections, what the people want is development. You
know, Ayawaso East development is more of a human-centered. how to develop human resource of Ayawaso East. Because if you take the statistics of Ayawaso East, these are people, most of the guys in Ayawaso East, their main issues are more the trade or traveling outside the country.
Okay.
So it's about the human resource, human development, and human resource in Ayawaso. And I believe that is what will be the focus in Ayawaso.
And you believe Baba Jamal is the man that can execute it?
I believe strongly that Baba Jamal can do that.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us. That was Madi Jibril. He's Acting Director of Elections and IT for the NDC. And we come back to Mr. Abraham Pamensa. Thank you so much for holding. So we were on the low patronage, right? You told us that your figures are telling you that about just 17 out of the expected 40,000 voted. That's accounted for some 42 to 43% voter turnout. And you dovetailed into monetization and why people generally do not patronize by-elections. We can continue from there, please.
Your interviewer who just spoke also pre-election environment primaries, the monies that change hands will have any influence on that. I did a brief assessment in my own hometown in Kare, Nachuma, Wabieja constituency, when the MPP was doing a primaries, and after the primaries, one common complaint that most of the people of MPP supporters in the town, which I think would translate to many other constituencies in the Ashanti region, that accounted for the low vote turnout, for low votes that the NDC MPP got. Some of the things they were saying was that if the delegates have taken their fridge, they have taken their television sets, they have taken their money, let the money and the fridge go and vote for them. Even though they supported the MPP, they will not go and vote. And when I take my constituency alone, that's the Achuma Webeja, the NPP lost close to 20 to 30,000 votes in that constituency alone. So it's something that I was discussing this morning to media, the CSOs, that is it also another angle to be considered for a thorough research to see whether it will have a negative impact on turnout. Will people be angry? Will people think that if my colleague has been given something to vote and I don't have it, why do I go and stand in the sun?
Yeah.
So there are some of the things that I think I don't have a concrete correlation to link it to this low voter turnout, but it's something that I'm throwing it up that we should have. I was happy my colleague who spoke from the NDC side also mentioned it, that it could be. We say it could be because we have not done any study into it, but I think it's worth doing something to that effect. So there are some of the things. He also spoke about the fact that most of the people are not staying, even though they are registered to vote in the constituency, they stay far away from that. It also then adds to my point of low voter turnout in rural constituencies. But even here, it's a state constituency, city constituency, it's still impacted by the distant voters whose names are in the register. So there are some of the factors. So generally, you don't expect a turnout rate in general election to match the same with the by-election based on these factors.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Nana Kwabna Abraham Pamensa. He's Programs Manager, Team Lead, Local and Urban Governance and Security Sector Governance. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.